Down in all of my descriptions, I usually have a link there for a fully remote addiction counseling for video games specifically. And they will talk to you fully remote. They might give you a referral to some other place in person if you decide you want to take the next step in it, but they will talk to you and help you out if you find that you have an addiction that you are struggling with. And for the rest of us, I just want to be aware of what these companies are doing, because when I play these games, the more aware we are, the more educated and consumer we are, and the better choices we can make.
Get started on this new little mini series on the psychology of games. I kind of just want to highlight why it's even possible to have gambling-like features.
Yeah, this is really good. We're going to talk about the illegal gray zones, why this exists at all. Okay, why this exists at all, and that is very interesting to me. Like, how did we get to the point where where it's okay to sell gambling to children? It's like absolutely okay to have a fucking game like a Looney Tunes game or a Disney game with loaded up with loot boxes and microtransactions, and that's fucking okay. But we can't have children walk into a fucking casino and pull a slot machine lever. That's illegal. However, putting it in their fucking hands is fine. Is very curious to me. So having some explanation of that is good. And I think you're going to find the explanation is really subpar. It comes down to semantics, and it really needs to be regulated. It's really fucked up.
In games to begin with. And we kind of touched a little bit on this last week in simulated gambling. Basically, the crux of all of this is it's not considered real gambling. This kind of came up last week, but for something to be legally considered gambling, you have to be risking something of monetary value against an unknown outcome. So wagering money on an unknown outcome. And because a lot of
yeah, that's a loot box right there. That's a fucking loot box right there. Like, I don't know how much more clear it needs to be. You wager money. You don't know what you're going to get. You are gambling. We can just full stop there. We don't need to explain it more. Yet, the lobbyists for the gaming industry do and are working a serious fucking gray area to pull this shit by so that we can fucking sell Pokemon loot boxes to kids. And maybe we should stop. Maybe somebody should fucking stop. I don't know.
Modern games out there right now use in-game currency. They have you purchase game.
I love this. We straight up have a slot machine app. Like, no, there's straight up gambling that children can access, yet that's okay. So yeah, that's why we can't crack down and shit in like other games, Marvel Strike Force, you know, Disney Sorcerer's Arena, Star Wars, all these other fucking mobile games. Of course we can't crack down on that because we can't even crack down on actual fucking gambling applications. That, I mean, just children don't fucking care to download gambling applications, but they straight up could. Mind-blowing.
Tokens or coins before doing anything else in the game. It kind of sets this precedent that this isn't real gambling because it's not real money being
100% real gambling.
Real world items, right? Digital items in this particular case are kind of thought of as having no real world monetary value. So not only are you not wagering any actual money, you're actually not winning anything of value. So in both cases, the argument is gambling-like features in video games are not real gambling and therefore don't need any additional regulatory framework to be placed around them. Loot boxes are kind of a great example of this problem. Loot boxes are essentially slot machines.
Straight up. This guy is so fucking close to having good content. And I think it comes down to switching the fucking presentation that's running up in the upper right-hand corner with his face. You could even bring him down to my size because the slideshow is fucking killing it, right? But he's got this just awful shelf of like dinosaur jaws and old cameras back here and shit. It's just not quite the presentation that would hit on YouTube. He's so fucking close. I've reached out to these guys. I told them to hit me up. I think we could collab and make some shit. Genome could get involved. I think we could do well together. Hopefully, maybe doing this series of videos will get their attention that I haven't been able to reach through email. But it's so funny to me how fucking close he is to like having something really viable on YouTube.
for video games. They essentially have randomized items that players can win. And sort of just like a slot machine, those randomized prizes.
Yo, man, I don't know what the fuck is going on with FaZe Nick up in here, but yeah, this is getting fucking weird, man. Like, you're on the Mr. Hartgrave stream. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody fucking cares anymore. Nobody wants to talk about that, and nobody gives a shit, okay? It's like, yeah, you got a weird fucking fixation going on, and nobody cares. It just doesn't even matter. Like, the dude already has his fucking platform. This is my platform. It's the Mr. Hartgrave show, and nobody gives a shit. Okay, we're talking about gambling and video games. Does he talk about that, or does he only talk about like Marvel Strike Force and boring shit? Because we talk about other things here, okay? So we've moved on. We're past Marvel Strike Force now. We're into bigger problems. Let's progress.
Have different odds of being in the loot box. So you might get a really rare item in one of these loot boxes that's kind of the equivalent of hitting, you know, a jackpot on one of the slot machines. And that kind of poses this question. Well, why can...
Yeah, this is why I buck so hard against... Now here I'm going to talk about fucking Marvel Strike Force after saying that. But look, this is why I buck so hard against not just Marvel Strike Force, but any game that has like a loot box mechanic. I don't partake in the loot box mentality. Like, yeah, that's like, I see people, and no judgment to them. It is fun, right? And I do rob myself of a lot of fun because a lot of the addiction comes from the extra dopamine you get when you gamble. So by not gambling, I reduce the addictive properties of what I'm doing. It's like, instead of fucking, you know, smoking crack, I'm doing a little bump of cocaine. I'm doing like a little baby bump of cocaine instead of like fucking 3 crack rocks a day. Okay. And that's really the difference. It's addiction management is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to manage my addiction. So like tonight I opened Red Stars for Dagger. However, I set a limit. I said, I only want 4 Red Stars. I don't want to be greedy. I don't want to push myself into spending. And I'm not going to open the 5 reds. I'm not going to open the 6 reds. Those are just going to sit in my inventory. That's like the crack cocaine, right? Buying there was those offers for like fucking 7 reds. Those are straight up crack. Like I was like, and tempted. I was fucking tempted. I was like, oh, I should buy those and do those. But no, even if I bought them, I would have held them in my inventory and not done them. I mean, it's such a weird addiction to deal with because you don't do that with drugs. You don't just like hoard up crack and just be like, I might need this someday. I'm just going to buy it now because it's on sale. I got a good deal. And I'm just going to put it away. Like, I don't know. Is that really an addict behavior? Because I think when you're a hardcore addict, you're just doing them right away. That's when you might actually know that you have a problem if you buy Red Stars and you just can't fucking handle it and you just open them. To actually go back to a person, yeah, I've seen certain people, you know, buy 200 Red Stars, not be able to hold on to them and just open them all. You just got to open them fucking all. So when you see those videos where someone's opening this god-awful amount of Red Stars, that person might have a serious problem. And, you know, I kind of feel sorry for them. I feel compassion towards them because I feel that they are struggling with addiction, okay? When you watch that kind of behavior, I feel compassionate. That's where I turn to with that.
A slot machine be in a video game that might be rated T for teen, when if this was an online gambling platform.
Yo, straight up, any game with microtransactions, any game with loot boxes should not be rated T for fucking teen. It should have a mature rating on it, and the game should be, you know, geared towards adults. And that's one of the main problems I have with Marvel Strike Force is I like Marvel Strike Force, but it's clearly a game for adults that is trying to get kind of kids involved in it. And they need to stop that part. Because clearly this is not a game for children. Children don't play this game. If they do, they play it a different way. They're not the target demographic. So I'd really like to see them stop pandering towards kids in their content. Not even the game itself. The game itself is fine. It's a decent presentation. I mean, the story writing could be a little better. But when they write to us, when they talk to the community, they should understand they're talking to a bunch of adults and get rid of the kid shit. You know, like I've seen them like they have like artwork hour, and that's cute to do like artwork from kids when you're talking to your community, but really you shouldn't be promoting the children part of it because it's a fucking gambling game. Marvel Strike Force has no less than 20 loot boxes in it right now. And then during events, we can up that to about 25 loot boxes. Guaranteed bona fide fucking loot boxes.
No one under the age of 18 here in Canada or 21 in the United States would be able to access that platform. Well, like I said, it's typically because before you purchase the loot box, you are trading in real world money to buy game tokens or game currency. And that is enough of a difference to argue that this just isn't gambling. It's also kind of agreed that the items that you can win from a loot box have no real world value, and therefore even if you paid cash for the loot box, because you're not actually winning anything of value back, it's once again not gambling. Ultimately, in both cases, I would really say this is more of an argument of legal semantics right now, because I dare anyone to ask someone playing CS:GO if the items in their loot crates don't have a real world value.
Yeah. Do your, does your 7 red hold any real world value to you? You bet your ass, right? Your 7 red Kestrel, does that hold some real world value? I mean, they absolutely do. It actually equates to real world value. If I had a full Infinity watch at 7 reds, that would have some actual tangible value to it, because you would be owning your arena. I haven't run into any fully 7 red Infinity watch team, but that has some tangible value to it. It actually translates to cores, which are directly purchasable for money. Like, we're very gray. We're in a very gray area on this shit.
Or ask anyone that's won an ultra rare and powerful character out of a loot box if it was worth paying money to get that character. In both cases, the answer is probably yes. So I guess a regulator may not think virtual items can have real world value, but I would pretty much argue that any gamer would disagree. And I feel like I just need to take a little sidebar here, because it's just maybe important to mention that people sell gamer accounts all the time. And when I say game accounts, these are usually
100%, 100,000%. He's gonna cite some good sources here too. But this is facts. For any game you have ever played, even before mobile games and all this shit, you can always buy what you want. Any game can be hacked out there, any game can be farmed, and anything can be resold. And most certainly, from day fucking one, there was a black market of Marvel Strike Force accounts. Now, it fluctuates vastly, okay, between accounts have sold for as much as $5,000, for as little as, no dollars, but they go up and down on value, sometimes within the week, depending on these fucking things these fucking blogs they put out and shit like that. And this is all of mobile games. So when you say that these things have no real world value, they absolutely fucking get real world value and are sold and traded. Now, they're not supposed to be. It violates the end user licensing agreement, but no one's getting banned and there's no regulation on it. It's totally fucking Wild West, and it's totally fucking happening.
Usually profiles that have, a lot of really rare items with them. For example, in 2016, someone actually sold their Pokemon Go account for like $9,200 US. Or going back to loot boxes again, in 2017, there was a report that a 19-year-old kid had spent $13,500 US on loot boxes over the course of a couple of years. And that kid is even quoted saying, "I'm 19 and addicted to gambling," and he was referring to loot boxes in the games that he was playing. It's definitely an incorrect.
It's insidious too. Like, okay, we know gambling's a thing, and if you're an adult, you can go gamble. That's fine, right? You can do a lot of shit that's addictive when you're an adult. You can get addicted to alcohol, tobacco, all kinds of shit you can legally get addicted to. You can get addicted to gambling legally. It's fine. But the difference is that it's open. At least now because of regulations. Until it was regulated, people didn't know, but now if you drink alcohol, you're going to get addicted. You start using tobacco, you're going to get addicted. You go into a casino, you're going into a space that people can be abused in. Like, you know, the house always wins and shit like that is known. And that's one of the reasons why I'm making this video, is because people should know this about video games now and look out for this shit. Like, I'm looking at playing a new game. We got a new game coming out. I've already made some content on the channel about it. The Midnight Suns game, Marvel game. I'm really excited about it because it has no microtransactions that are meaningful. They're going to have cosmetic microtransactions. You could buy some costumes and shit. Great. No problem. But the actual core mechanics of the game do not revolve around microtransactions. And very much so, because of my experience with Marvel Strike Force and some other games, mainly Marvel Strike Force, I am avoiding this. I'm not trying to get involved in this any fucking more. I don't want that for anybody. I feel that the mobile game industry, until it is regulated, is far too fucked up to get involved in. Far too fucked up to get involved in. They're really, I think we're at a point, especially with some of these games that are out there, looking at you, Pokemon on the fucking Switch, where we're pushing the boundaries so fucking hard on what is legal and what is allowed in our society that eventually regulations are going to have to come for this shit, because it's getting pretty fucking bad. And yeah, we see it fucking weekly and daily in Marvel Strike Force with their fucking offers and practices, which we're going to get into as well in these series of videos that we're going to look at. We're going to start covering some of the different psychological tactics. So those are going to be exciting too.
Correct assumption that just because something is virtual, it somehow can't have real world value. I think anyone in the gamer space would pretty thoroughly disagree that certain items aren't actually really valuable. And kind of just sticking with this legal gray area theme that we're kind of in today, I just kind of want to mention that like data collection is also something that's quite different for gaming versus gambling. So when we talk about online gambling, there's a lot.
Oh, this will fucking blow your mind, man. This is crazy shit right here. I previewed this video a little bit just to make sure it'd be worth sharing with everybody. And this part's really fun. This is some fucked up shit.
A lot of concern around player protections. One of the big fears right now for online gambling is the up and coming development of AI. A lot of people are worried that as AI gets more advanced, an online gambling operator may take an AI system and use that to go.
Oh, real quick. Thanks for bringing that up. I was trying to remember what that's called. The NFTs? Yeah, absolutely. So NFTs have come out where you can buy and bid on things, attach value to digital objects, like buy them and trade them like fucking art. So yeah, we have to change how we view these virtual items. Virtual items, 100,000 fucking % can have value and can be traded like fucking art. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We need to change. We need to get some fucking regulations.
Go through all of the player data of all of the people that have been on their site, find the people that are most likely to be suffering with a gambling addiction, and then target those people with specific advertising based off of things like their Facebook profile or their search history, ways to get them to come back and basically maximize the engagement and profit that that company can.
Okay, you could say that was some tinfoil hat shit, this concept, that they're going to view your gaming activity and your Facebook profile and put together a profile on you and then start targeting advertising on you. But they are. It's not really tinfoil hat. It's not. This isn't out of the realm of fucking possibilities at all. This is absolutely fact. I mean, you basically sign your rights away whenever you enter the Google Play Store, the iTunes Store, Facebook, all that shit. We all know they're taking your information. And I'm not even that opposed to it. But I want to be careful about what I tell them about me. I mean, I've already told them I'm horribly addicted to a fucking mobile game, but the more I spend on it, the more they know that I have a fucking problem, and the more that they might want to prey upon that. And that's definitely something that you might want to think about as you funnel your money and time into a practice that you might not want to keep up for the rest of your life, and something to be aware of as it gets advertised to you through your other forms of, digital interactions. If you find that the only games that are being put in front of your face are other microtransaction laden gambling simulators, you might have done that to yourself.
can kind of exploit out of that player. So this is a well understood thing for online gambling. It's something that a lot of people are quite concerned about, and a lot of responsible gambling advocates are certainly trying to make sure that players are protected and that they're not kind of having their data turned against them. Well, this is kind of an interesting problem, because when we talk about gaming, do those same kind of protections or even an acknowledgement that that problem can happen exist? And really, the simple answer is not really. In fact, two of the largest gaming manufacturers out there, Activision and EA, both hold patents that basically use player data to manipulate either matchups or what items might appear in a loot box based on how much a player has spent historically.
Yeah, Scopely has those too. I think Mobile Gamer likes to talk about that all the time. Yeah, these exist. Absolutely. All kinds of fucked up algorithms exist and have been patented that do all the shit you are afraid that they do. That absolutely happens, and it's a good reason to not be involved in shit like that, because they are there to exploit you. They view you as breathing sacks of money, and they don't really give a shit about you as a person. They just want you to spend, and that's why I get sick of the corporate kind of angles, the people that push for these games and companies, and the way they speak. And yeah, they're absolutely part of the fucking problem.
In that game. So just take a second to kind of think about what that actually just means. These companies own patents to alter the experience of individual players in a way that may promote them to spend more money on microtransactions. And can you just kind of imagine what that would look like in a...
I mean, what it looks like is sometimes when they want you to spend a lot of money, maybe you notice like everybody's pulling really good red stars. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen the community be totally pissed off. And then I think a lot of people pulled really good stars on Silver Surfer. Now, I don't know. I tend to kind of view a lot of this shit as tinfoil hat. The patents do exist though. They do have the technology. It's up to them whether they want to turn it on or off. And that's really where the problem lies. Like, that's where we need the regulation to step in, because with regulated gambling, like slot machines, which are basically video games at this point. If you've walked into a modern casino, you know this shit is just video games now. And they are regulated to the point where they have to pay out at certain percentages, and they have to be transparent about those percentages. So they can't manipulate. They can't manipulate the statistics the way that we're describing here. They have to pay out the way that they are described to, because they're regulated. Now, gaming isn't. We are relying upon the ethics of game companies when it comes to this, which is fucking hilarious, as game companies have no fucking morals or ethics at all, and they don't need to.
Traditional casino setting. Just imagine we've walked into the casino, we've gone to one of the blackjack tables, we sit down, we play for a little bit, we lose all our money, and then we leave only to find out maybe the next day that the casino specifically sat us at one specific table with a ton of high rollers around it, knowing full well that we would lose all of our money and be more likely to go to the ATM to take out more money to continue to try and play against these very skilled poker players. That would kind of be a big scandal.
Oh, like war matchmaking? Yeah, we've been there, right? Yeah, your war matchmaking's working as intended. The big guys beat down. And yo, this is what's coming. This is your Grand Arena mode that you guys are all looking forward to. Who's looking forward to Grand Arena? In whatever fucking game you're playing. It's coming soon to Marvel Strike Force. When you think about how fucked up, when you talk about good matchmaking, this isn't competitive, motherfucker. This is designed to take your fucking money and pressure you into spending. Of course, they're going to take your pathetic, sad ass, like this man up here in the corner, not this guy, but that guy. And they are going to set you with all the fucking big baller high rollers and make you feel like shit until you buy to catch up. That's what it is. That's what it is. They're not going to, they have no interest in matching you with your peers. They have no interest in matching you with people where you can have a good competition. These games that we play on our phones will never be esports, okay? They will never be competitive. They are designed intentionally to make you feel bad and spend more. Even if you spent the most, they will find a way to still put you into a competitive space with them, and the house will always win.
We probably hear about that quite a bit in the news, but it's potentially happening in the gamer space and no one's really batting an eye. And unlike traditional gambling, where we're looking at basically adults possibly being manipulated, in the case of gaming, we're talking kids potentially being affected by these type of...
Yeah, now we're all adults in here, and the 117 people in here and people watching here on YouTube, we're the informed motherfuckers. Right? We're watching this shit. Only like 23 fucking people watched this video before today. Okay? And a lot of people don't read into this or even know this is fucking happening, or we kind of know, but we haven't really delved into it, really haven't thought about it deeply, haven't read all the fucking articles. Nobody has, right? Now imagine that you are a child. What fucking chance do they have? What fucking chance do they have to understand the mechanisms that are going on a mobile game on their phone, which they have full access to? And I know some of us informed parents out there have some blocks on our kids' phones. Some other of us monitor our kids. That's a good way to do it. A lot of kids, full fucking access to everything on the internet, everything on the app store. They're downloading whatever the fuck they want. And even if they aren't using your credit card to spend a whole bunch of buy a bunch of microtransactions and whatnot, they are getting accustomed and normalized to the behavior that will ruin them as soon as they do get their own finances and are able to play whatever game they want and spend as much as they want on it. And that's going to be fucking disastrous is what that's going to be. This new generation of people that are coming up. I mean, we're already here, me and you. I'm a generation that was raised upon video games and normalized that I go to arcades and I pay $20. So that's normal for me. I can't imagine if I was a kid and it was normal for me to see $100 microtransactions and think that's what's being an adult. That's what being an adult is. I load up my phone and I want to be good at this game and I give it $100, $100, and I never pay my rent and I never buy my fucking food and I'm just addicted to video games and, you know, I just struggle my entire life because I don't know any better. I don't have any fucking idea. So you know what? Maybe sit your kids down for Mr. Hargrave videos. Make sure you like and subscribe. I don't know. Got to talk to your kids. Or regulate. You know, we could also regulate this and maybe try to protect some children. I don't know. It's crazy thoughts.
Of manipulation algorithms, and that just kind of puts gamers in more harm's way potentially. I guess I've kind of mentioned these two legal gray spots for gaming just because there's such distinct characteristics of what makes the framework around video games just so different from how it's sometimes applied to gambling. We're going to be talking about a lot of these same types of psychologies that casinos and online gambling operators use to keep their players engaged, but it's being applied to game design to keep gamers engaged in making more microtransactions. So that's important because as we're going to start talking about some of these really powerful psychological techniques that have been around for decades.
All right. There will be no bad mouthing of Ultron in here, motherfucker. We don't badmouth Ultron on the Mr. Hargrave stream. We just don't do it. You just don't know how to use Ultron. Okay? I'm trying to make this video on gambling addiction and you coming in here pleading your ignorance about how to use Ultron is throwing us off. Look, if you don't know how to use Ultron, you need to watch some of my videos and learn how to use Ultron. My 4 red Ultron is kicking your 5 red Ultron's ass. That's your problem, not mine.
Known techniques for training people's behavior, getting people to be more engaged, possibly spending more money than they would otherwise. All of those psychologies are kind of slowly shifting over to the gamer space, and they're not obvious in a lot of cases. And because they're not obvious, that puts people at risk. Like I said, if you don't know that something's happening kind of in the background, it can be...
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole reason why this organization exists, is to raise awareness about this, because that's what's really insidious about the whole thing, is that people don't know. People just don't even know how much underhanded shit is going on, or they just suspect it, and that's a problem. So raising awareness is important. That's why I make this shit. That's why you're watching this video right now or on this live stream, because I don't I don't feel right about talking. Most of the content, most of the videos on my channel is about a fucking mobile, addictive, predatory, awful, fucked up mobile video game called Marvel Strike Force. For now. Because it's mostly about Mr. Hargrave. If you notice, here on Twitch, YouTube, on Patreon for $1, support Mr. Hargrave. We'll keep bringing you this quality content. Where someday we probably will not talk about fucking Marvel Strike Force because it is an addictive, predatory mobile game that is ruining the fabric of society. I mean, we also enjoy playing it here. It brings us a lot of joy. But motherfucker, is it fucked up? And somebody needs to put the brakes on that shit. Because the game would be better, everybody. These games would be better if they were regulated. And that's at the heart of it. We all want a more fun experience. We are being robbed of the fun that we could be having if these mobile games were regulated. Mobile games would be more fun if they had regulation on them. So I might sound like a fucking Karen or a goddamn party pooper when I'm like, this needs to be regulated and we need to fucking get the government involved. Not to ruin our fun. It won't make the game less fun unless you fucking, look, by all means, we should still have games that are straight up fucking slot machine simulators so you can go do that if that's what you desire. Because I understand for some people, it's really fun to spend an exorbitant amount of money on these games. And that's great. It's great for you if that's how you enjoy it. The rest of us, I think fucking like 90%, 99%, 95%, let's be generous, are going to be wanting a good experience when we play a fucking video game, a reasonable experience that costs, and yeah, I know it's console games too. Any fucking video game we get into, we want to have a reasonably good time for about maybe, let's say just $20 a month. Let's just fucking be generous on that too. I think that's even a lot of money for a lot of people, but let's say $20 a month should get me a decent experience. And right now, in a lot of mobile games, pretty much all of them, $20 a month don't buy you shit. In Marvel Strike Force, $20 a month used to cut it. Now it don't. And the game is not geared for this. It's not geared for this. It's geared to push you to spend more. Always pushing, always pushing. And if there was some regulation to stop that constant push and be just a little more clear about its practices and what it wants. Hey, for $20 a month, you get this kind of experience. For $40, you get this. For $60, you get the premium experience. That's cool. I don't think they should, have a limit on their profits or whatever. Just be open about what they are asking and what they are giving.
Really hard to pick up on that feature, how it's making you feel, and maybe the type of engagement that you're having with that feature, especially if it's something that's known to get people to come back and game more or spend more money or, whatever. I guess that's really the issue here is that, social media, video games, and gambling are all kind of using these same techniques, but really it's only the gambling industry that kind of has the oversight, kind of has the framework for the player protections, and is kind of being adequately monitored to make sure underage users aren't being engaged or that predatory practices aren't being used to target high-risk individuals. Things, I will say, have started to change. I think when the World Health Organization adopted gaming disorder as a real condition in 2018, it did do a world of good, kind of showed people that, yes, this is something that people are struggling with, and yes, we do need to start taking this a little bit more seriously. I think really up until that decision was made, when it came to like gaming disorder, there wasn't really any clinical definition of what it was, so no one could say, yes, this is what you're going through, this is what you're experiencing. So
yeah, that's a big problem and a lot of problem. If you're going to go try to get help, it's going to be difficult for you, which is another issue because there's a lot of addiction counseling centers. But if you come in there and tell them, I think I might be addicted to video games. I stay up till fucking midnight and every night and I don't want to. And then I wake up at 5 a.m. to get these war attacks. And then if I don't get them, like 23 people get really fucking pissed off at me. And then I feel bad all day. And then I spend money to try to make myself more gooder because other people in my alliance make me feel bad. I might be addicted to that. And they're going to look at you like, and so, and when do you take crack? And you shoot up heroin when? Or, oh, it's just you just stay up till midnight and then you wake. That sounds bad. That's why I put that link down below for the addiction, the fully online place that specializes in video games. We need more places that specialize in treatment for specifically video games that understand that space. So you don't have to fucking, because I can't imagine what it would, I haven't done it myself. Maybe I should call up, you know, a place for help. I'm going to have to fucking explain to them microtransactions and all this shit that I wouldn't potentially want to get into a situation where I would have to fucking teach my therapist what I'm addicted to. You know, you go into a place and you say, I'm addicted to fucking, you know, alcohol. They're like, oh yeah, here's what you do. No worries. We've been dealing with this for decades. Video games, on the other hand, they're like, oh, I don't know. Maybe you should just stop. Like, just, oh, you should put a timer on your phone or something. Like, no, you don't understand. I need this.
It's great to see that the World Health Organization's updated gaming disorder diagnosis kind of helped prompt a little bit more of this discussion to start. That's where I'm going to end today's video. This was obviously more of a look at why gambling.
All right, I like that video. That was good. We watched an older video of theirs and it was fucking goofy as shit. This is a much better format. I think he needs to, he's not going to. It's gonna follow the same format, but here we got another one here. He's grown a little stubble, which is nice. This is the psychology of gaming conditioning. So I'm curious about this. This is, I believe we're going to talk about the practice where we normalize the behavior, make the gambling normal, which is very fucking insidious.
Hey everyone, this is Bridging the Gap on Gambling. I'm your host, Dan. Thank you.
Hey, Dan.
One daily login bonus that you're going to be able to get each day, but every day that you log in.
Hold on a second. I skipped forward. Don't skip forward.
Gambling. I'm your host, Dan.
Yes, Dan.
Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So we've got a lot to cover in today's video, so I'm just going to kind of jump straight into this topic. Let's talk about conditioning. Many of you may not 100% know what that is, but you probably heard of the Pavlov's dog experiment, right? This was something that took place back in 1900. Pavlov, a Russian researcher, was researching the saliva secretions of dogs when food was presented to them. And all of his experiments were going good until one day he noticed that one of the dogs started drooling before food was presented to the dog. Of course, this was interesting to Pavlov, so he looked into it a lot more. And eventually...
Yo, straight up, scientists are fucked up. Yo, straight up, my wife is a scientist, so I know. Scientists are fucked up. They do the most fucked up shit. Like, what kind of mind does it fucking take to get involved in this? My favorite thing my wife told me about was she edits papers scientifically. And one of the papers she was editing was about a study done in Japan where what they were doing is they were measuring how stable elderly people were as they aged. And what they developed, I would love to have Dan on as a guest, by the way. What they developed was an old people pushing machine. There existed in Japan, might even still exist, but there existed a machine with the sole purpose of pushing old people because they had to replicate scientifically the same force, the same type of push on all different ages, on people standing on one leg, two legs, with a cane. Just think about this. And they pushed hundreds of old people using this machine. I know, what the fuck? But I'm sure it was very important, and many discoveries were learned from this.
He concluded that the dog had learned that certain behaviors Pavlov was doing before the dog received
poor fucking dog with this shit, fucking collecting its fucking saliva.
Food.
Just so you could understand. Gambling addiction, motherfucker.
Meant that food was on its way. So with that in mind, Pavlov basically started experimenting. He took different stimuli, like the sound of a whistle, and presented that when the dog got food. And over time...
And it was discovered that he was a good boy.
Pavlov was basically able to show that the dogs would associate things like the sound of a whistle to getting food so much that they would basically respond to the whistle as if food was in front of them. So classical conditioning is basically all about taking kind of a known response, like drooling at the sight of food, and associating that to kind of an unrelated stimulus. Hear the sound of a whistle, start drooling. Operant conditioning is a little bit different, and I wouldn't say opposite of classical conditioning, but operant conditioning is the process of learning a new behavior, something that's not exactly natural or instinctual, and associating that to certain stimuli. So the two biggest contributors to this type of research were B.F. Skinner and John Brodus Watson. Back in the 30s and 40s, these two researchers, Skinner used rats and pigeons, and Watson terrifyingly used a small child in his research, where...
That's fine. It's fine to do that, by the way. Just telling you, man, scientists, fucked up individuals. I'm married to one. I know.
I feel like I just have to point out that in 2020, you would never pass an ethics board review for an experiment like that. Kind of crazy. Different times. Now, Skinner and Watson both published work showing that, yeah.
Straight up, I got actually accused of that. Because my pediatrician switched the charts between my children. This is a real side tangent, but I got to tell this while I'm here. We took my kids in to be seen by the pediatrician, and the doctor comes in and he's like, one of your kids, what are they eating? Are they eating the same things? And he's like grilling us for like fucking 5-10 minutes. And we finally discovered that he switched the charts, and he's like, oh, thank God, because one of them had lost a lot of weight if the charts were switched. And they were little, like fucking like 4 or 5 or whatever. So he had it in our head we were just fucking not feeding one of them and like overfeeding the other one, because the other one had jumped up like 5-10 pounds and the other one lost 10 pounds at like fucking 4.
Yes, indeed. You can, in fact, train different behaviors using different forms of reinforcement.
To be clear, we didn't do that. We did not lock one of our children in the closet and not feed them. They had switched the charts. So there was a confusion. We were not doing a scientific experiment as these fine gentlemen do.
It's meant to artificially associate certain behaviors, events, or responses to a desired outcome over time. And that reinforcement word in there is like super, super important, right? Because different forms of positive or negative reinforcement are really good for promoting different types of behavior. Positive reinforcement or reward is great for kind of promoting a new behavior, learning a behavior, where punishment or negative reinforcement is really good for kind of removing unwanted behaviors. We'll stick with the dogs for now as an example, right? Think about obedience school training. If you've ever taken an animal to obedience school, how do you teach?
This is why I do what I do. I don't want to be obedient to this game, to this concept that the video game is normal in what it does. And that's what maybe annoyed me a little too much about other coverage of the game that I play, is that it was seeking to make it normal. It's like, hey, everybody, we want to get this character at this stars, and what are we going to do to get it? You know, it's like putting you right up to the fucking door of addiction and saying, go on in, it's okay, it's fucking normal. I was like, no, someone should be out here saying that this is fucked up, and to be strong and to say no, I'm not going to, do what they want me to do. You are being told to buy things and to have fear, and you should have no fear. Fuck these people. And I think there is that element in what some other people do in my same field. Tony Scongilli is one that comes to mind, who is very much like, hey, if you want to fucking do it, you go ahead, you buy your shit. If not, then don't. But yeah, I mean, I make shit like this. We talk about all kinds of shit when it comes to addiction and what's actually happening. You need to be aware. You should be aware of what the fuck is happening.
teach a dog a new behavior. We're going to teach him to sit. Well, we basically kind of get him
won't
to
sit, motherfucker.
approximate the behavior. You know, we push his back legs down and get him to sit. We give him a treat. And he's like, oh, that's cool. And then we say sit and we do it again and we give him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess people ask me, they're like, why don't you quit if you're so fucking angry? If you're so fucking angry, why don't you quit? I'm like, no, I enjoy being disobedient. I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to like condition myself out of being addicted to the game. Like, definitely am, but I also enjoy, like, I have an addictive personality. So it's like, I don't know. I think maybe you really kicked it when you can be around other people drinking and you don't have to drink, right? Like if you're an alcoholic and you're around other people drinking and you're like, oh, I can't handle being around other people drinking because I think I'm going to drink. That's totally valid, by the way. And there's a lot of people like that. If you have a fucking hardcore gaming addiction, you probably cannot be around other people who are gaming. You probably can't be in an alliance where people are buying shit all the time, or else it's going to trigger you to buy shit. And I definitely feel it in myself. I'm sitting here in an alliance and people in my alliance are buying shit and I want to buy shit. I want to go into it. I want to be like them. I'm like, oh yeah, that looks like fun. Let's do it. We're in a fucking community. But I realize what's happening and I'm like, I don't need to. And it's okay that they are, but I don't need to. So I'm very much like kind of putting myself into the situation and being aware of the situation and actively not gambling. Like, I know it's gambling. I know there's gambling happening. I know there's dangerous spending happening, but I'm not doing it.
Give him a treat. And he says, oh, this is interesting. So now he associates the sound sit to the action of putting his back legs down and getting it.
Yeah, you're right, chat. He knows nothing about fucking dog training. You goddamn moron. Stick to gambling. No, that's true. There's a whole new fucking... Dog training has come so far. I have a little dog. We don't push its back legs down.
A treat. For a dog, this is great. Positive reinforcement. Just continuously rewarding the dog every time he does the behavior correctly. Consequently, if we say sit and he goes to shake a paw, we give him a little smack on the paw and maybe don't give him a treat, and we get a little aggressive with our voice and say, no, you sit. We're kind of giving negative reinforcement. We're correcting a behavior, not necessarily using punishment, but it's a negative form of reinforcement. We're not giving him a treat. We're being a little more stern with our voice. So this whole conditioning, reinforcement, psychology stuff, it works just as good on people as it does for pets. Only just like your pet doesn't know what's happening to them, you probably don't really recognize when it's happening to you. Let's do a little thought experiment here. Just kind of close your eyes for a second and envision that you're on a casino floor, right? We're going to be standing in the middle of a casino. What are the different sights?
You can't treat a dog like a game or someone would call the cops. Very true. It's true.
Sounds and maybe even smells that you kind of imagine seeing in this moment. Maybe we kind of hear the clanking of the marble on the roulette wheel as it goes around. Maybe we hear a chorus of bells and whistles and sirens emanating from all of the slot machines that are in play. We probably see a lot of flashing lights, a lot of rich colors, all of these different things we probably have never really thought are there because of classical and operant conditioning, right? These are the types of audio, visual, and scent, memory, training kind of things that we're doing with dogs, only now it's happening in a casino with a lot more complex kind of behavioralism tied into it. And I mean, really, you only have to think, like, if you've ever played roulette, for example, like, you know the sound of that marble on the wheel. And if roulette is something that you like playing and you're walking through a casino floor and you hear
the sound of those loot box boys
around on that wheel, you know, you're probably at least going to look over, and you might even have the inkling to go place a bet on the next spin at the roulette table. Or, you know, how about a slot machine, right? We could be standing 30 feet away from someone who's just won a big payout on a slot machine, and we are well aware of the fact that that's happening, right? There's sirens, there's whistles.
I failed to mention, I believe we're Canadian as well. It's a payout. It's a payout right there. It's not a payout, it's payout.
there's bells, all these lights are going off, there's some cool graphics happening on that machine. Now that's a signal that something exciting is happening, something that we should pay attention to, and really that's a reward for engaging in the behavior of gambling on a slot machine. That's a type of reward. Even the act of betting in a lot of ways is kind of a form of reinforcement, right? We get positive reinforcement when we win.
You notice how like really good game mechanics and engaging story isn't part of gambling? Really good game mechanics and engaging story. So yeah, how much of that is in the game that you play? How much of the engaging story and really good game mechanics are you interacting with? Or are you mostly interacting with fucking loot boxes that whir and spin and make noises and reward you with things? And then how much of that time is spent being engaged in story and engaging gameplay? Because those things typically aren't part of gambling. Whereas, you know, how much of your time is actually spent opening what amounts up to be a fucking loot box?
More money. Money is kind of a good thing. We all like it. And, you know, we feel a little bit more excited. We get all these visual things that go off. People around us are like, woo, you won big. That's great. Now think about when you lose.
Yeah, Valgrass got a good point here. Chat's right, man. I never fucking play with the sound on. I mean, I think a lot of people don't. But yeah, the sound will definitely kind of fucking Pavlovian dog you right there. You will definitely be more addicted the more stimulus you have on it. The more it is something that is distant from you, that you're not as immersed in, the more resistance you're going to have to it.
Lose. That money gets taken away from you. It's negative reinforcement. You don't have any bells and whistles going off. Negative reinforcement. What's the desire? You want to play another hand to try and win. So again, that kind of directs your behaviors into perhaps gambling again. And it's that whole concept of reward where B.F. Skinner's work really contributed a lot. Dr. Skinner basically developed a series of different ways to administer rewards, and he kind of called these his schedules of reinforcement. So on top of having positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement, there are also 4 other types of scheduled reinforcement that kind of fall under 2 different categories. Either constant reinforcement, we're going to get a reward every time we do a behavior, kind of like we were talking about with the obedience school training. Then there's going to be partial rewards. So these are going to be things that happen kind of at random so long as we're engaging in that behavior. And the first type of reinforcement we're going to talk about is something called fixed interval reinforcement. Now this is something that happens at a really predictable rate. Hence, this would be a type of constant conditioning. There aren't a ton of examples in gambling that really use this type of reinforcement, but there are a couple. Lotteries and horse racing, for example, are probably 2 fairly obvious ones. The lottery, you're going to buy a ticket for that week's draw, and you're probably not going to go back and purchase multiple tickets for the same draw. You're going to wait for the draw to happen, find out if you win, and then go purchase another ticket for the following week. That's very regularly scheduled. It's a very regular thing to happen. Horse racing also.
Yeah, right. You got it. Chat's got it. You have these all the time. You have regular events, your daily payout in the arena, you have daily payouts. They're called fucking payouts, for Christ's sake. Like, this shit isn't even fucking hiding. Like, the gambling is all over your fucking mobile game. Any mobile game you're on, the shit is called what it would be called in a fucking casino. The fucking payout time, the odds, all that shit is there. It's all right in front of you. It's fucking amazing this shit isn't regulated yet.
Kind of the same. You can't really bet on horses when they're not racing, so we have to wait for a race day if we're going to engage in this type of gambling. We know when those race days are coming, and then we can engage in the activity. And I guess kind of in that...
You anticipate a good blitz. You do. It's crazy. It's crazy. You know when you're going to gamble, and you get excited about it. Oh, I'm going to fucking get into this. Oh, it's fucking Red Star Day. You know what? I'm guilty of that. Because I look forward to new characters being released, not because I'm going to buy them, because I'm going to open the fucking orbs. So yeah, I definitely need to be more cognizant of that. There's all kinds of shit out there that you don't even know you're fucking salivating over. Absolutely.
line, fantasy sports and sports betting kind of share some of that characteristic, because when we're talking about fantasy sports drafts, those happen at very particular times in the year. And then when we're talking about sporting events themselves, those are scheduled events that everybody kind of knows are happening on specific days. So even though sports betting itself is kind of a skilled form of gambling, the fact that it's a very regularly scheduled kind of thing is something that you could probably argue fits into this fixed interval reinforcement system. Now, with video games, think about all of the daily login bonuses, the daily free spins. You know, some games come out with new items, say every Monday, there's going to be new items or skins in the game's shop. Those are things that we can predict. We know they're coming. Fixed interval reinforcement is even something that you're going to see in games like Candy Crush. You're going to be able to play for a certain amount of time, certain amount of levels, and then you're going to have a wait period. And sort of like Candy Crush, that wait period, you know, you might have a strategy game where you have to build something and that takes a few hours to actually build. In both cases, that's something that gaming companies have monetized in a lot of cases. So for Candy Crush, you don't actually have to wait for, you know, however many hours. You could just pay $1 and have access to the game again right now. In the strategy game, you don't have to.
Tell you what, I cannot fucking stand that mechanic. It's one of the reasons why I like Marvel Strike Force, the game I play, is that you don't have all these fucking timers on everything. It's better in that regard. I know any game that has these fucking timers is really insidious. It's definitely this fixed interval reinforcement that we're talking about right here, and I really can't fucking stand it. It's just awful because I never speed them up. And it just ruins the game experience. And that's what I'm talking about. There was some regulation on this shit to kind of like get rid of that psychological component behind what they're doing with that. It would make these games so much more enjoyable that they might actually be worth playing. Who the fuck knows?
To wait 4 hours for your new building to finish construction. You could just pay $1 and it's finished now. In those cases, you know, monetization has kind of been tied to this type of reinforcement. And then there's also like shooter games, you know, if you think about where weapons or armor sometimes respawn on a map, usually those happen at fixed intervals of time. Every minute you can go back to one of those locations, pick up some more armor or some more ammo. Same thing. All of these features, you know, they have fixed amounts of time in between when the event happens and when you can interact with the game again. There's only one daily login bonus that you're going to be able to get each day, but every day that you log into the game, you get that bonus. Next is...
Yeah, I will say definitely that part is going to be huge with all games. I've even noticed that the games that are decent, like Monster Hunter, wanted me to log in every fucking day. And that gets rough to have to log in every fucking day. I don't know. I'd like to see the game industry move away from that. It would be nice to play a video game that didn't require me to log in every fucking day and check in with it. Like, when the fuck did that become okay? Why the fuck is that okay for my video game to be like my fucking, you know, wife or something? Where like every fucking day we gotta check in. I gotta make sure it knows that I love it. Like, come on, man. Come on. I got enough shit going on in my life. Like your fucking job. It's worse than your job because it's like every fucking day. You don't even get days off. Can we at least get days off? Can we at least regulate out video games to the point where maybe we can take a couple of days off? Is that okay? Can we have a couple of days off? I don't know. I hear some of them let you have a couple of days off. Not Marvel Strike Force, boy. Every fucking day you gotta check in, let it know, oh, I still love you. Oh, I'm still here. Don't you fucking worry. That should be regulated out right there. That's not a normal way to live. And I think that's the thing that people actually want to get away from most. If you talk about the one thing that is maybe the most fucking destructive part of any fucking mobile video game, it is the need, the absolute fucking requirement to check in every fucking day, multiple times a day usually, with it. You don't get to choose when you play it. If you're playing it seriously at all. Like, I know you can be out there and you could tell me, like, I play a game that requires I check in with it, you know, like 3 times a day. You could go, well, you could just not play it as seriously. Well, I'm like, every single fucking person that plays the game, like, basically, if you don't do that, uninstall and you're done. It's either I do that, and that's how fucking serious it is with these games. Either you do that, you log in every fucking day, or you just full fucking stop quit. Because you won't have an alliance. You won't have any of the things that would progress you at any decent pace. They have made the game experience is such that you must log in every fucking day, or else you will be so hampered down, you will basically not be playing the game. And I think that's the part that should be adjusted to the point where maybe you can still play the game even if you don't log in every day. Maybe logging in every day will get you like a fucking bonus or whatever. But why is it okay for them in our society to take this predatory gambling addiction simulator and make it okay for it to tell you, hey, you like this? You want more of it? Then every day, you need to see me every fucking day is what you need to do. And it's okay that I say this. And it's normal. It's normal for you to do this. And you will feel great anxiety if you have not checked in with me today. And that's okay. Why the fuck is that okay? That should not be allowed for a game to do to your life. And I feel bad about having that in my life, actually. Now that I say it that way, it sounds really fucked up. I mean, I do enjoy playing the game. I do want something that I can enjoy every day. But should I fucking have to? Or else either I do or I don't. Like, I have to make that decision. If I was going to stop playing the game I play tomorrow, I would have to seriously consider, like, do I never want to play it again? Like, okay, great. I'm not going to log in tomorrow. Well, I guess I'm done. Am I ready to be done entirely? Like, why the fuck is it so fucking black and white? I don't know. Yeah, absolutely. It sounds creepy. It is.
Is variable interval reinforcement. And this is similar to fixed interval reinforcement, but now there's no assigned wait time between potential rewards, where we can expect...
Yeah, absolutely. Same here. Same here. I think a lot of players have this. We have an internal clock that knows, oh, I got to check in. It's been 2 hours. I got to check in. Like, I don't need to set timers. It's just ingrained in me. I've never set a timer for it. I just check in every 2 hours. I just do.
That every Monday, our game shop is going to have new items, new skins for sale with a variable interval reinforcement. We're just going to log on one day and there's going to be some new cool items in the shop. So there's not really any lead up and we didn't really do anything.
100% chat. No, absolutely. And I found that with Marvel Strike Force is the community is just as fucking much to blame as Scopely. And the community is absolutely as much to blame as anyone else. We can't just not fucking blame the community. And I'm not talking about the 98 people on the Mr. Hartgrave stream or everybody who's liked and subscribed and commented here. These are good, smart, educated people, and I have no problems with them. I'm talking about the rest of these unruly motherfuckers who don't want to get behind the cause, who don't want to address what's actually happening here. They are absolutely the fucking problem. And what are you going to do? I mean, what are you going to do? You can only try to help so many fucking people. And I don't know, man. It's going to take some changes in society. I mean, I tried to do it. I tried to make changes in the game I play in Marvel Strike Force, where I try to get people to look at the game as an us versus them. And they don't want to do it. They want to fucking apologize for the game company. They want to tell me shit is normal that isn't normal. They want to make excuses, and they don't want to get behind any real change or any real movement that we could make. And it's a lot of reasons why we're fucking stuck where we're at. Thank you so much for all the subscriptions up there. Keep digging.
Other than log in for those to be there. Now, in gambling, again, this is something that you're just not going to see a lot of. This kind of reinforcement basically gives you a reward at random just for doing the behavior. Maybe the best example for gambling that I can give you is receive.
Yeah, no, okay. We definitely need to have more personal responsibility, but we also need more education. I mean, no one is fucking talking about this shit. Very few people are talking to this shit, and if people are talking about it, it's not in an engaging, interesting way. That is one of the reasons why I'm out here, is to do this in a more interesting, engaging way than a lot of the boring shit that's out here. This guy's doing great. This guy's doing great. He's not quite doing good enough. He's doing, the content's good, but the presentation is lacking, and we need more mainstream voices to take this over and talk about this shit and not have this be a secret or information that we just kind of, oh yeah, I kind of think that's a thing that's happening, and then we don't know too much about it.
Receiving a $20 gift promotion card in the mail or through email. But you might also remember that last week I mentioned, this was an area that could potentially have some drawbacks to it. We talked about maybe an online casino sending its problem gambler players very targeted offers like this. $20 of free play. $100 of free play. In your mind, it's kind of like, well, that's a good reward. I gotta go use this. Even if we know kind of on a personal level that we're struggling with our control over gambling. Could be a problem area. Well, in gaming, it's a little bit different. Think of all of the different achievements that you can get while just playing through a game. You have no idea what's kind of going on, and then all of a sudden you do something cool, and this little medal pops up, and it's like, congratulations, you've discovered this thing, and you're like,
yo, straight up, don't badmouth achievements. Look, I've been addicted to achievements too. Those are actually straight up fun. Fuck you. Don't ruin achievements for me, motherfucker. Don't talk about my achievements. I like achievements, goddammit. Don't make me feel bad about achievements. Stop it.
Like, oh man, that's cool. And that kind of sets off this idea that if we continue to play, we're going to continue to find these little hidden achievement awards inside of the game. Kind of promotes us.
Yo, they didn't fuck up Grand Theft Auto though, did they? Yo, we're talking out of our ass right now. They didn't fuck up Grand Theft Auto, did I? Know they did, didn't they? I know there's Grand Theft Auto Online. They took, what the fuck happened to Grand Theft Auto? I feel like we don't even know. I don't even know. Like, as a normal fucking person, I don't even know what's going on with Grand Theft Auto. They released like Grand Theft Auto 5 and the shit just never went away. And they took it online and then they just started selling money inside. I don't even fucking know. I don't even fucking know, man. Grand Theft Auto Online is some weird shit that I don't understand. And maybe he's absolutely right. Maybe those achievements are fucked up. I like achievements though, goddammit. I think achievements are fine. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know. I think achievements are okay.
Just keep on playing. Eventually, we're going to just
Grand Theft Auto 5 will not fucking die. I don't understand. Didn't they even make a Grand Theft Auto 6? I don't know what the fuck happened. The one with fucking Nico, right? The Russian dude, and that one I played, and that one has an online component, or was that Grand Theft Auto 4? I don't know. One of these fucking Grand Theft Autos will not fucking go away, and then they put it online. And it's nuts. Yeah, okay, all right. Nico was the one 4. I never played 5. And 5 just never fucking left. I think they had a version of Grand Theft Auto Online in 4. And then for 5, I think I'll definitely play other games. Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to the Marvel Midnight Suns games. I have some videos on my channel about that. But we might need to kick it retro. We might need to take it back. I'll definitely, I love the Resident Evil remakes. I played the shit out of those. If I was streaming seriously when I was playing those, I would have streamed those. We'll definitely do some Resident Evil at some point.
For these cool little awards that were hidden in the game.
Let me know down in the comments what kind of fucking games you want to see Mr. Hartgrave play. I'll get into other shit. I tried to play Hades, but nobody gave a fuck. I watched the fucking, talk about fucking addiction. You guys ever watch The Game Completionist? That motherfucker's crazy. That dude has some serious fucking issues. The fucking Game Completionist has some serious, somebody needs to get him some fucking help. He actually has a fucking problem. People will support people with fucking problems on this platform. I don't even fucking know. But he played Hades like a fucking addict. And I don't, that video's got a crazy amount of views on it. Maybe I just wasn't playing it hardcore enough. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't quite right. Maybe I just wasn't good enough at it. I don't know. You let me know.
Or maybe we log on one day and we just randomly find that the game developers decided that day in particular, all of the players that log on are going to get 1,000 game coins or something like that. And now it's kind of embedded in our head that if we just log on and check each day, maybe we'll get that.
Oh man, that fucking hits. Yeah, that's why they're doing these fucking live streams. You'll notice on these mobile games, they'll have these fucking community managers they'll send out when there's a fucking event going on, and they want to advertise that event and get you to log in during that motherfucking event so that you know you need to keep playing this game, because at any fucking moment, they could run one of these fucking events that'll give you all these great fucking rewards. So make sure you play, make sure you keep playing, because eventually we're going to run another one of these events where you're going to get all this cool shit for free. Yay, motherfucker. Get addicted. Get fucking addicted. I mean, that's what makes me sick about it. That's what makes me so fucking sick when they come out and they don't want to talk about the actual game, the actual fucking gameplay, what would actually be good, right? Because you can tell when they're out here just talking about their fucking event, as opposed to when they're out here actually talking about how cool their game is and how they actually love the game and have designed some cool shit for you to interact with. Instead, they're just like, come experience the event and fill out the fucking calendar and get this free shit. They're just hawking that shit. They're just fucking hawking addiction, motherfucker. They're not hawking a game experience or a fucking, they're not telling you this is going to be fun. They're telling you you're going to get fucking addicted. Almost straight up, straight fucking up, right to your face. So if you see these, they happen all the fucking time when one of these fucking mobile game companies wants to send out their fucking expert shill to fucking get you to play their piece of shit game. All they're going to talk about is their great fucking event is going on to try to get you fucking addicted to their bullshit.
Same reward. And we can even look at like a first-person shooter game. Really just going through a level is going to really use this type of reinforcement, right? We have a starting point. We know that the level ends somewhere. In between there are going to be a variety of kind of random cutscenes, kind of like a reward, new items, which is a reward, game currency or experience.
Yo, let me know if anybody ever sees any other game that does these fucking things where they have one of their fucking community managers come out and talk all kinds of mad shit about their fucking game. I'll watch any of those. Fuck those people. I will absolutely react to every single one of those motherfuckers because I can't fucking stand that shit. That pisses me off more now than I was even fucking pissed off about it before. I think I get more mad the more I understand what the fuck they're doing. That's fucking upsetting as shit.
We're going to find all of these things as we kind of go through that level, and those in themselves are kind of this variable interval reward system. Next is something called fixed variable reinforcement, and this is really all about doing something a specific amount of times. So this is doing a behavior a certain amount of times to get a reward. This is unfortunately probably the biggest misconception a lot of slot machine players have. They think that the payout system for a slot machine is a fixed variable payout schedule. That just couldn't be further from the truth. In that,
that's red stars right there. It's red stars, your slot machine. He's talking about your loot box.
We might falsely think that every 10,000 spins of the slot machine wheel will produce a jackpot. But of course, that's not real. That's not actually what happens.
No.
A lot of people believe that and then think, you know, if I just...
A lot of people don't understand percentages at all. Just be kicking people. Just be fucking clapping motherfuckers. Be just fucking dusting off bitches. Left and fucking right. Percentages fuck people up. Every fucking person. Man, so many fucking people do not understand percentages at all.
Spin it one more time, I'm that one step closer to the jackpot.
Some math classes be doing a bad job.
The jackpot's just one more spin away. And of course, that's not true. That's not how a slot machine works, but it's a very commonly held misconception about how those games actually do their payouts. Now, if we're going to think about fixed variable reinforcement in video games, well, XP...
It's every time. Every time the odds don't change because you did something. Like every time you flip a coin, it can come up heads. Every fucking time it can come up heads. As long as you flip it exactly the same way. So a computer is different than flipping a coin. Because flipping a coin can have so many different fucking variables. A computer cannot. It's the same set of percentages every time. It's the same 0.001% to get a 7 red every single fucking time you spin the fucking wheel on it. So you can pull 2 7 reds back to back, or you can never ever pull one in your entire fucking life. And yeah, some people are like, I've been playing the game for 2,000 days and I've opened this many stars and I've never gotten a 7 red character. Like, yeah, motherfucker. Statistics. Yeah, that's not how it works. You will literally never do that. You can't count on it. You can't bank on it. Just look at the fucking percentages. What you gotta look at when you look at a loot box is what's likely to happen, the most likely outcome, and base your behavior off of that. And in most cases, you're not gonna buy that fucking loot box because most cases, what is bound to happen is shit and you don't want it. So fuck it. Just look at them that way. Don't look at the jackpot. Never look at the fucking jackpot because you're not getting it. Just know you're not getting it. It's not happening.
Rules this world. Experience points are all over fixed variable reinforcement. You know, you kill an enemy, gives you a certain amount of...
Yo, motherfucker, all games should have a pity fucking system to pity the pathetic motherfucker playing it. 100%. Yes. All mobile games, all video games in general, should take fucking pity upon its user for being a sad motherfucker who plays video games and reward us as such for time put in. Absolutely 100%. This is one of the reasons why I get so pissed off at new players when they come at me and try to make me feel bad for playing a game for 3 years and having more inherent advantages because of that. No, motherfucker, I put in 3 years of time. I want the fucking pity system. I want my top 1% in Blitz, guaranteed. I've put in 3 years. Get the fuck off my case.
Experience, maybe you get a certain amount of gold, maybe you even get some items out of that enemy. Those are known rewards that are going to happen every time that you do this action. Think of a game like Elder Scrolls Online. You can scour that giant map for all sorts of cool bosses and like rare items that are kind of hard to find. We can spend a lot of time just looking for these different things. We know that they're always going to be there as long as we can kind of find them. Or maybe you're playing a game like Orna and you see that you need 50,000 more experience points to level up. And with that, you decide, well, I'm just going to play a lot more for this next few hours.
Are you just pulling games out your fucking hat, or have you actually played these games? I don't know. I know he's doing some deep cuts on these games here. Yeah, I need to know about I need to see your gamer tag, sir.
So I can get to the next level and unlock these new features and whatever. I'd say role-playing games in general tend to use this type of reinforcement quite a lot. There's even a slang term for it that I'm sure we've all used one time or another. Grinding. You know, we're playing Pokemon and we want to get that perfect team up to level 100. Well, we're grinding away to get those levels up. We're playing League of Legends and we want to move up in the rankings. Well, we're going to grind our way through all of that ranked play so that we can get to the next tier. I guess overall, like RPG games use this particular type of reinforcement quite a bit. It's one of the reasons that we can play a game like Skyrim for hours and hours and hours and not really get tired of what's happening in it. You know, we've got this large scale goal that we're looking to fulfill, leveling up, finding new items, and that's kind of supplemented by the fact that we're getting little rewards all along the way. Finally, we have probably the most prominent form of reinforcement used in gambling, the variable ratio of reinforcement. If you want to know how to hijack kind of our pattern-seeking, problem-solving brain, just use variable reinforcement. You'll accomplish that goal just fine. Because basically, we're just going to give players random rewards for performing the behavior that we want. In this case, playing the game. So variable ratio reinforcement is, in fact, how slot machines work. Inside of a slot machine, there's something called a random number generator. And really, the only control a player
talking about that RNG, boys,
machine is the action of deciding how much they're going to bet and then pressing the spin button. Once a player has pressed the spin button, Nothing else matters. There is no set amount of times that this machine has to work before it's going to have a payout. Press the spin button, signal goes to the random number generator. Random number generator stops on a set of numbers, and those numbers correlate to whether or not you won on the slot machine. Completely random. The slot machine has a ratio of payout amounts, but every spin is completely random and has absolutely nothing to do with the spin before it or the spin after it. Now, variable ratios of reinforcement are also all over game design. Loot boxes are basically slot machines, so they use this exact same mechanic. You might get a really good item, which is kind of like a jackpot, but more likely you're just going to get something that's kind of okay, or you didn't really want. You know, something like defeating a boss in a game or an opponent in a game, you know, if that gives you items or weapons or anything like that. Usually those are kind of random. So some players might get something really valuable. Some players might just get nothing. Again, it's kind of a variable ratio of reinforcement. You don't really know what you're going to get. You just know that if you do it, there might be a prize. This could be another reason that we end up playing a lot longer than we ever intended to when we initially logged on. We kind of get fixed on trying to find these powerful or rare items, and kind of gets this idea that if we just play a little bit longer, we're going to have our next big win. We're going to find our legendary item that we've been looking for forever. Honestly, like, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I really recommend you guys go check out some of the links in the description.
Yeah, word up. This whole channel is pretty fucking good. We got one more we're going to check out. This one's a little shorter. And this one's interesting. Okay, this is the most viewed one they have. This is like their fucking hit, okay? The rest of this shit is low. And I'm excited. We'll come back and do more of these too, especially when we have like a slow week where nothing else comes into me. I got a lot of shit usually that I want to check out, like Marvel Strike Force related or other games. This week, just nothing. Everybody's fucking just quitting Marvel Strike Force. Nobody's buying anything. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, it is crazy informative. This one is like their hit though. So I definitely want to check this one out, and then we'll probably call it a night. But this one looks pretty good. It's called the near miss principle, and I think we can all learn something from this as well. And then, yeah, the other videos that we're going to watch on this some other fucking time do deep dives into different fucking mobile games. And I am going to try to get this guy on my show to do a deep dive on Marvel Strike Force. I have reached out to them. I'm hoping we can connect and do that. That would be fucking phenomenal.
Bridging the Gap on Gambling. I'm your host, Dan.
Yeah, Dan, come hit me up. Hit me up, Dan.
Hey, everyone. This is Bridging the Gap on Gambling.
I don't like it when it plays it twice.
Thank you for tuning in today. So we got a pretty good show for you guys today. We're going to be talking about the near miss principle. This is a really prominent form of psychology found a lot in gambling. Slot machines are notorious culprits for using the near miss principle, but this is going to be something that you see in poker, craps, roulette, really any of the casino games, and it's for a very good reason. The near miss principle isn't actually an invented psychology for gambling. It's just another way that as people or as animals we learn. Last week we were talking about conditioning, and we talked about B.F. Skinner's work around schedules of reinforcement. And I guess in a similar way that B.F. Skinner didn't really invent schedules of reinforcement, he just discovered that these were ways that as animals we learn. The near miss principle is very similar. It is a way that we kind of learn through trial and error. The term near miss itself is a little misleading. An almost win would kind of be more accurate to what's going on. But of course, that doesn't really sound as sexy or roll off the tongue nearly as well. When we're experiencing...
Yo, straight up, some of you kinky war motherfuckers are like hooked on this shit. Some of you kinky war motherfuckers who play Marvel Strike Force or any other game that does this, where you're doing like an alliance versus an alliance competition, and it comes down to those like last minutes, and you just like barely lose. You're addicted to that shit hardcore. That gives you like such a fucking Jones, man. And you get so fucking worked up, and it makes you spend so much fucking money. You gotta be careful with that shit. This is hardcore shit. That near miss shit, near almost win, that'll fuck you up bad. Turn you out.
Experiencing a near miss, it's usually that we haven't quite succeeded in performing some kind of behavior. We've come really close to being successful in what we were trying.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna admit, man, fucking Blitz will do that to you too. Blitz will do that to you too. You try missing fucking top 1% by like a couple of fucking blitz runs. You bet the next time you blitz, you're going to be blitzing fucking harder. Any of these systems with leaderboards, you come in just a little bit under. Oh, that fucks you up bad. Then you got the fucking sickness the next time around, right?
Trying to do, but ultimately we've still kind of failed at achieving a successful form of that behavior. I'm gonna take this back 2 million years, right? I'm gonna try and explain this in evolutionary terms.
It's gonna take you back to the past.
2 million years ago. We're on the bank of some beautiful river with all these gorgeous fish in it, and we're hungry, right? We've got our spear. We're ready to catch ourselves a fish for dinner. Well, we're gonna throw that spear, and the first time we're going to completely miss. We're going to not hit anything in the water. And of course, we're still hungry. We still want a fish. So we kind of adjust how we're throwing our spear and we throw it again.
I feel like we are over-explaining
Really,
this.
that's all the near miss principle is there for. It's
get into where we talk about games.
Trial and error, trying to get better at something through incremental steps. Get a little bit of feedback, sense that our form isn't quite correct. We adjust and we get a little closer. In a modern day example, think about catching a football. Anyone that's had to learn how to catch a football
all understand the concept,
man. A few tries.
Move it forward.
How we've adapted and
damn.
learned to do all sorts of really complex behavior. But here's kind of the problem. In video games and in gambling, some of the features that incorporate this kind of near-miss thinking aren't actually features that we can get any better at, especially with things like gambling, right? We talked about slot machines last week, and I kind of explained that a slot machine is a randomly generated result the second that you hit.
Straight up, mobile games are getting all the benefits of gambling without any of the regulations or taxes. Straight up. It's exactly what the fuck is going on. It's exactly what the fuck is going on. Yeah, no, we're not going back to the dawn of time. But yeah, this is an interesting concept. Yeah. I mean, the two things that I described, you could theoretically get better at, but you also kind of can't.
Hit the spin button, a random number generator plucks a certain number from the air.
You can't get better at loot boxes, though.
In whether or not you win or lose on the slot machine. There's no skill involved. It doesn't matter how many times you press that spin button. You're just not going to get any better at playing slot machines. You can adjust things like how you're betting, how many lines you're deciding to bet on, how much you want to bet, but that really has no effect on the actual spin mechanics that are involved in the slot machine. You need all 3 jackpot symbols to be on the reels in order to win the jackpot. 2 jackpot symbols and
stop
another
mansplaining
symbol is still a loss. But for our pattern-seeking brain, seeing those 2 jackpot symbols makes us think that we were really, really, really close to winning the jackpot. If just that 3rd symbol had been a jackpot symbol too, we'd have left the casino with $1,000.
Straight up, when I see that yellow come down off a red star orb, it's a near miss. When it ends up being a fucking like Ravager Stitcher, you see that yellow come down. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's a near miss right there. I think that's a more accurate assumption. If you got a loot box that'll show you have a good drop, and then it shows you some bullshit, that's the near miss principle. Because they can't make it look like a slot machine, right? Because then they're gonna get in trouble. But they found a way to make it, to do the same thing, but have it look like, and that's what we got to watch out for, is a lot of this shit is going to look different from what we know as gambling, but it's going to be the same thing. Is it going to be a bunch of numbers? And is it going to be a 7, a 6, and a 7? No, it's going to be, this ball is yellow. Now it's bullshit. It's going to look different. It'll be the same concept. You can trust me. I'm Mr. Hargrave. Grave diggers, know who they are. They've already liked and subscribed and commented. If you want to let me know you're one of the grave diggers, please do the same and keep digging.
Down before the one you serve, you're going to get what you deserve. Bow down before the one you serve, you're going to get what you deserve.